My name's Laura. I'm the founder of myHappymind. Hopefully you've seen some of the other episodes. This week I want to talk to you about how we can instill habits in children by both teaching them about mental well-being and mental health at school, but also in the home, and the importance really of making sure that bridge, as I call it, between home and school is not just there, number one, but is also really strong. And so last week, for those of you that watched the episode, we talked about this kind of concept of little and often, and the idea that if we want to really have a sustainable impact and help kids to create sustainable habits around mental health, we couldn't just do a one-off program, so a deep dive for a couple of hours on a school day, or a topic in an assembly one week, and then expect the kids to digest it and for that to become something that they hang on to. Kids don't retain stuff that easily, and particularly at the primary ages, so we need to be doing stuff that's more regular, that's more sustainable, and that allows them to create those kind of positive habits. So if you missed last week's episode, I really encourage you to go and have a look, not least because there's a really cool freebie at the end of it, which was all around proving the point that with just a little bit of time each day, teachers can instill really positive habits in their classroom. So we gave away a really cool freebie, which I've had some amazing feedback on from teachers that have used it, so thank you for that. And it's worth you downloading that and listening to that vlog, because there's kind of a part 2 to that coming at the end of this episode. So I would really encourage you to do that if you get the time. So the giveaway that you had last week was, as I said, about kind of proving and illustrating the point that with the dedication of doing something every day, you can build really positive habits around mental well-being without it taking a lot of time. And the reason I emphasise that point is that time is often the reason that's most cited, along with expertise, by teachers and head teachers as to why they're not doing more around mental health in school. So the time issue doesn't need too much explanation. I'm pretty sure that most of you listening will know that teachers are incredibly busy, or they're under so much time pressure, and they don't always have any more time to fit new content into the curriculum. So that's one big pressure that absolutely is being faced. And the expertise issue that is faced is something I spoke about in the second vlog, which was all around this concept that mental health has become, in some senses, a scary topic for teachers. And whilst, and we go into this much more in vlog 2, so if you've not seen that, it'd be worth a watch as well. But whilst when there's an issue, when a child is really suffering from a mental health condition, clearly expertise is needed from outside schools, and it's the right thing to bring that in. But my strong view, which is evidenced by work that we do with schools, is that when it comes to preventative work around mental health and building positive mental well-being habits, teachers are so well placed to deliver that content because they have positive relationships with both children and with families as well, which we'll come on to in a minute. So time and expertise tend to be the reasons that teachers and head teachers tell me they're not working in this space. And so the free giveaway last week was to kind of prove the point, I hope, that with just a little bit of dedication and a kind of a real system in place that you can do in 3-4 minutes a day, you can instill a really positive habit in schools. So more on that in the second freebie that we'll be giving away at the end of this vlog. So today is about that bridge that I mentioned earlier on. So when I talk about the bridge, what I mean is the importance in my mind of engaging the child in a positive dialogue about mental health, not just at school, but also at home. So why is this important? Well, this is important because so often kids have amazing habits at school. They listen to instructions, they do what they're told by their teachers, and then so often their parents will say, he's so good at school, or she's so good at school, but when they're at home, they don't listen to me. The only way I can get anything done is to threaten that I'm going to tell their teacher. I mean, how many of you have heard that? I know a lot of my friends say to me that the only way they can get their child to do something sometimes is with the threat that if you don't, I'll tell your teacher. Right? So there's something really special about the boundaries and the way in which teachers engage with children, which means that they learn in school because they listen, they're engaged, and they have that discipline, which is amazing. My fear, though, on this topic is that if we don't do something to create that bridge back into the home, they won't maintain the habits they've learnt in school, around mental well-being at home. And therefore they begin to associate those habits with something they do at school. And we don't want that. It's fine for them to associate with them something we learnt at school, but I want them to think about it as something we do in life. Whether we're at school or we're at home, these habits around mental well-being and looking after your own mental health extend in and out of the school day. So that's really important for me, because I think, again, if we're going to make sustainable habits for life, they've got to be things that kids can do at home and at school. And that's where that all-important bridge comes in, I think, particularly with primary age children who will need some extra prompting, perhaps, to carry on with the habits they're using in school when they're at home. So I'm going to give you a really simple example of this. So something we do in the My Happy Mind program is called happy breathing, which is essentially a form of mindfulness, and is something that schools and kids absolutely love. And they ask to do it throughout the day, and the teachers love it too. And so what we try and do in the program is help parents to be able to continue with that habit with their child in the home. Because children use it in school to help with anxiety, to help with worries. If they've been excited after a playtime or an activity, they will use it to help themselves refocus. I mean, how amazing is that? 6 and 7-year-olds saying to their teacher, I need to calm down. I need to help my brain to focus. Can I do some happy breathing? I mean, this is what happens in the schools that we work with, which is just incredible. So what we wanted to do was enable that to continue when those children are at home. So we created a free app for parents to use at home with their child. And this, I guess, serves a couple of purposes. One is it helps to educate the parents about what the child has learnt. But 2, it allows the child to continue their learning and continue their habits whilst in the home. So I give you that example, which in many ways is a more complicated example, because we've got all the technology behind it that we can do that. But even something as simple as the ritual or the habit that I gave you last week in the freebie, even just telling parents in a letter or in a conversation about what you've done with that habit in school, and encouraging them to follow that up in the home and even have a conversation with their child about it, is creating that bridge. So this doesn't need to be about creating an app or creating loads of work. It can just be as easy as a conversation. But I really believe that bridge, particularly on this topic of mental health, is so, so critical. Because often for kids, actually, school isn't the worst part of their day or the most stressful part of their day or the part of their day that creates anxiety. Often it's home life. And so if we can give them a tool and a way to continue to engage in that tool at home as well as at school, I just think that's so, so powerful. So that's why I think the bridge between home and school is so, so important. And I don't think it needs to be complex. And a bit like with the daily habits I've talked about, it can be really simple, the way in which you talk to parents and the way in which you engage parents in the content that their child has learnt at school. It doesn't need to be really sophisticated. And I say that a couple of times because, again, this fear factor around mental health and these conversations, I think that's very real for people, both for teachers and for parents. And I really am in a bit of a mission to dispel some of those myths, because it can be a really, really simple conversation and it can be really impactful. So to prove that point, I am giving you this week another freebie, which is a follow-on from last week's freebie. So what I've done is I've created a parent guide based on last week's freebie, okay? So if you've carried on with this habit, which I hope you have, and you've seen good impact from it, you can give this guide out, you can print it out, you can give it to parents so that they can continue the habit in the home. So it allows you to create that bridge with this one habit that you've created around a really positive mental health habit. It allows you to create that bridge with the home and with parents, and for you to be able to give that to them and see how that goes. So again, I'm doing this to show you, to illustrate that some of these things can be really simple and really resource unintensive, which is really important. And so I really hope you'll enjoy the freebie. As I mentioned at the start of this vlog, if you missed vlog 3, then I really recommend that you take a look at it, you listen to it, and then you download the kind of the freebie part 1, because that's going to make a lot more sense than if you just download part 2. You kind of need both for it to be worthwhile. So really encourage you to do that. As always, would love to hear your thoughts, would love to hear from you. What do you think? Are you doing something similar in your school? Is this something that you just feel a bit lost with? Where do I find these resources? Please let me know your thoughts. I'd love to be able to help you to do more of this, and also answer any questions that you may have. So until next time, take care and bye-bye.